Welcome back to the Khalifa International Bowling Centre in Abu Dhabi for our coverage of the World Bowling Women's Championship. Of the 6 different categories that run within the World Championship, the Team of 5 event is widely regarded as the pinnacle of the sport.
I think it's the best event or the hardest event to win because everyone has to play good.
You have to feed off of each other and watch what the lanes are doing because there's more people on the pair, so they're changing faster, and the team that's on top of that will be the one that wins.
Every team plays 6 games, each time against a different opponent. But it's the cumulative number of points a team scores rather than the number of games won which determines who progresses to the next stage of the competition. The 4 highest scoring teams go through to the semi-finals. Mexico had a strong championship to finish in 6th place overall, with a combined total of 6,457 points, each player averaging 213 points per game. Having harboured serious hopes of a medal, Sweden could only finish 5th, narrowly missing the cut for the semi-finals. They were agonisingly close, their players averaging just 2 points per game less than Germany, who went through in 4th place. Just ahead of them in 3rd place was Singapore with 6,564 points, a player average of 219 points per game. But the 2 standout teams from the qualifying stages were the USA, 2nd overall with 6,670 points and a player average of 222 points per game, and Korea, who came out on top with 6,738 points. Their player average close to 225 points per game. And once you get to the knockout stages, the competition rests on a real knife edge, because it's just 1 game to see who goes through to the final. So, as the highest ranked team from qualifying, Korea would go head-to-head with 4th place finishers Germany in the first semi-final. Birgit Popler was top scorer for the Germans with 234 points, and her team was able to maintain the same level they'd shown in the qualifying stages. But they were simply no match for the reigning champions. Sunggia Beck and Hyerin Son both scored close to 250, while Daewon Young made 10 strikes in a row and very nearly scored a perfect 300. Korea winning by a big margin of 108 points to book their place in the final. In the second semi-final, USA were up against Singapore. Led by world number 1 Daniel McEwen, the Americans took control from the start. Having finished 7th in the previous World Championships, Singapore were one of the tournament's most improved teams. But they would need to be at their very best to win this one, and it wasn't quite to be. So after winning by 79 points, the USA went through to face Korea, a repeat of the 2013 final. Having looked unshakable in the lead-up to this game, the Koreans suddenly found that things weren't quite going their way. In bowling, there is only ever a fine line between success and failure. In stark contrast, the Americans got off to a flyer, every member of the team scoring strikes on their first attempt. Having already won a gold medal alongside Daniel McEwen in the week's earlier doubles competition, Kelly Kulik went on to score 5 strikes from her first 6 throws, as did Shannon Plowoski. Meanwhile, their opponents were struggling to find their form. Only Daewon Young was able to match the pace of the Americans in what was a terrific all-round team performance. However, there was no doubting the star of the show. Liz Johnson scored 11 consecutive strikes, and with the entire crowd willing her on, she needed just 1 more for the perfect score of 300. Team gold for the USA, with Korea taking the silver and Germany bronze as the highest scoring of the 2 losing semi-finalists. A comprehensive victory then for the Americans, with a memorable individual performance from Liz Johnson.
We started off really well. You know, we had just kept striking and striking, and you know they didn't have the carry, and they had a couple opens to start, and everyone just kind of helped each other and just kept striking. You know, we bowled a great game, and we just had an awesome day.
How many 300s is that for you now?
I think that's about 63 for me. So,
not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, to do it in an atmosphere like this, I just couldn't imagine.
Of course, when it comes to the crunch, it's down to the competitors to perform. But as with all top sports people, bowlers also rely heavily on the expertise and support of a coach. And for the national head coaches, the preparation before each tournament is critical.
Well, I try to have a regular basis and visit the bowlers at their home center and stuff like that. But in between also we have training camps and we meet up our whole team on the same place. And whatever we need to do and think we're going to do to prepare us for the championship, we do. It's different from time to time.
But once the teams are here and in action, what can the coaches do to influence their performance?
My role mostly when we're here, rather than making technical corrections to fix their game, is to help them adjust to the conditions. Help them choose the right bowling balls, get lined up in terms of standing in the right place and targeting the right area on the lane.
I'll have a look at what kind of ball they're using. I'll have a look at how the ball's drilled. I'll have a look at where they're throwing the ball, what part of the lane they're using, like their release, their rev rate, because if they have a lot of revolutions, they will affect the lane conditions more dramatically than somebody that doesn't. There's a whole bunch of series of things that come into play for me to try to make an intelligent decision and get them to do a certain thing that we hope will work.
Key to raising the profile of the sport in general and the women's game in particular is the way in which the championship presents itself. To develop its profile, the championship must exude professionalism, and in Abu Dhabi, World Bowling has found the perfect partner.
For our purposes, this place is one of the best places to host events. They know exactly what we need and what we expect, and we know what to expect of them. And so it's never been better from an organizational standpoint.
And this center is such a pleasure to be in because of the fans and just it's so roomy in terms of spaces to bowl. A lot of people associate bowling alleys with being kind of small and dark, and this place is so large and bright. It's a pleasure to be here.
We are always keen, and we always try to provide the best facility or the best environment for our bowlers, for the bowling game. We want to show that the game, it requires talent, it requires physical game, mental game, and you can see it. They are fit, they are into this good program, training program, good quality. They are world-class bowlers.
Many strong countries come to this game, and just like USA, Korea, and Germany, and I think they is very strong.
This is my first with all the grown-ups. I've been bowling with the youth worlds before, but this is my first time here. It's a big difference. But there's a lot of bowlers here that bowl when I bowl the youth as well. Just that everyone got so much better now, so it's hard competition.
Bowling is a sport that transcends gender, and women have long since been competing at the highest level. Indeed, the first Women's World Championship was held as far back as 1963, and while it may have once been true that the best male bowlers were, generally, able to outscore their female counterparts, it's fair to say that any gap has narrowed significantly in the modern era.
Well, I remember when I used to bowl, which was a while ago, a great woman bowler was a good spare bowler. If she made her spares, she was great. She could average 195, that was awesome. And now that doesn't cut it anymore. You've got to strike. The women now have developed more power games. The rev rate is higher. They're, they're conditioned better. They're smarter. And if you look at the cross section of this field of talent, it's so much better than it was even 4 years ago.
Years ago, the girls were less aggressive. They went a little bit more for look and for repeatability. But now you can see the girls are a lot more aggressive of how they play. A lot of times the ladies can compete with the men in some tournaments. So that's one of the great things about bowling as well.
The competition may be serious, but there are no stony silences here. The vibe within the centre is electric. Imagine a professional golfer or tennis player trying to concentrate in such an atmosphere. But here the bowlers are used to the cacophony of noise and even thrive on it.
I'm actually used to it because I bowled for college, and college bowling is crazy. Like, it's more singing and cheering than bowling, like, seriously. So I'm kind of used to it, like, to the loud atmosphere, and I bowled youth championships where it's really loud as well. So for me, when it's quiet, it's actually more distracting than when it's really loud.
My coach probably wouldn't be too happy if I say this, but I like to look around and I like to look at scores. I like to look at how the other players are bowling, the other countries, you know. So sometimes they tend to say like, hey, just focus on your own game. Why are you watching other people? Why are you looking at the scores? But it gives me a sense of you know, where I'm at.
During the course of this week-long World Championship and across all of the team games, each bowler's individual scores had been recorded. And of the 150 entrants, the top 24 athletes made the cut for the Masters competition. These remaining bowlers would then go into a two-step qualifying tournament and given the chance to improve their total score for the week by playing another 13 games. In the first step, everybody played 6 games on a mix of short and long oil patterns. Their total score from all 6 games added up, and the top 8 qualifying for the second stage. Despite scoring a perfect 300 earlier in the week, Venezuela's Karen Marcano failed to average 200 at this phase and was one of the competitors who failed to make the cut, as was Kira Ray, the only English competitor to make it through to this stage of the competition. Having come close to making the semi-finals in the team of 5, Sweden had 4 of its bowlers qualify for the Masters, more than any other country. But sadly, Nina Flack, Jolene Persson-Planafors, Jenny Wegner and Rebecca Larson all failed to score enough points to make it into the top 8. And despite winning gold in the doubles and the team of 5, Kelly Kulik was another to be knocked out, finishing 10th overall. For the remaining 8 bowlers, a short break before going into the second step and another 7 games. And another perfect 300 ensured that the USA's Liz Johnson went through to the semi-finals. She finished as top scorer, more than 200 points clear of Korea's Yoonhee Jeon. Fellow Korean Daewon Young finished 3rd, while the USA's Daniel McEwen completed the lineup for the semi-finals. Hyerin Son from Korea, Shayna Eng and Cherry Tan from Singapore, and Diana Zavjalova from Latvia, all making the top 8, but ultimately missing the cut to go through to the knockout stages. The first semi-final then would be an all-American showdown between Johnson and McEwen. Johnson had been far superior up to this point, but with, again, just 1 game determining who would go through to the final, nothing was a given. But McEwen was unable to take her chance, and with a score of 238 points to 213, Johnson booked her place in the final. The second semi-final turned out to be much closer and much lower scoring, Daewon Young beating compatriot Yoonhee Jeon by 208 points to 193. That relatively low score meaning that McEwen would take the bronze. And so to the final. Based on the way she'd played throughout the entire week, there was no doubt that Johnson was the hot favourite. But anything can happen in a single game, and at the worst possible time, the American's form deserted her. Having averaged 234 in the qualifying games, Johnson could only muster a disappointing 183 points in the final. That said, she might have struggled to beat Young in any case because the Korean played a very strong game, giving her all to score a very impressive 256 points. During the championship as a whole, Johnson was the better player, but on the day and in the game that mattered most, Young produced the guts to become the world champion. In the last game, I really tried to concentrate and focused on the lane, my form and my lines, and did my best just to think about that. And so, after months of training and a week of tremendous competition, the Women's Bowling World Championship draws to a close. The sheer quality of bowling on display proving that this is an intensely challenging, highly technical and very watchable sport.